Good morning on this Tuesday, December 21st, 2021. Welcome to another edition of the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. A high school district in Phoenix boasts a diverse teaching staff and an eager to learn student population. The key to their success? Listening to what teachers of color say they and their students need. We discussed that this morning with Sandra Jenkins, the president of the Phoenix Union High School District's Black Alliance, Arizona Informant publisher Cloves Campbell, and Westside Gazette publisher Bobby Henry. But first, let's bring on the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr. Dr. Chavis, good morning.
Good morning, Stacy Brown. And on behalf of Karen Carter Richards, the chair of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, we represent 230 African American owned newspapers and media companies all across the country. And certainly we are pleased this morning to have our former chair of the NNPA, the distinguished publisher of the Arizona Informant, Cloves Campbell. And of course, we've got Bobby Henry, who we're going to give a special award to next month down in Hollywood, Florida for our Midwinter Conference, our 2022 Midwinter Conference. And we're so pleased to have Sister Jenkins with us this morning. Education of our children is vital to the future of Black America.
Absolutely. And Dr. Chavis, before we get to that, let's take a look at a couple of news headlines this morning. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer vowed on Monday that the Senate will vote on President Joe Biden's cornerstone social spending agenda very early in the new year, countering Senator Joe Manchin, who announced Sunday he would vote no, all but dooming the bill as currently written. In a biting letter to colleagues, Schumer writes that Manchin's opposition will not deter Democrats from continuing to find a path forward. After outlining the plight of Americans struggling to pay for prescription medicine and food for their families, Senator Schumer wrote that the Senate will consider Build Back Better on the floor in the new year and will continue voting on revised versions until an outcome is achieved. In a shot at the West Virginia Democrats, Schumer wrote that the Senate would take repeated votes, quote, so that every member of this body has the opportunity to make their position known on the Senate floor, not just on television. Of course, Manchin went on the Republican-friendly Fox News to make his announcement on Sunday that he would vote no against the Build Back Better package. So we're going to see how this unfolds, Dr. Chavis.
Stand for some time, actually for centuries, a lucha continua, the struggle continues. You know, there are no easy victories and no hard defeats. We have to keep working. And I think Senator Schumer is right. I think President Biden is right. Vice President Harris is right. Congressman Clyburn is right. It's Congressional Caucus. The Black press is going to be right because we're not going to allow one person, whether he is Democrat or Republican, to stand in the way of the progress of our communities and of our nation and of the world in which we live in. 2022, in my view, has to be a payback year. We need to vote some people out of office. We need to vote some people into office. And we need to make sure that as we prepare for 2024, that 2022, we don't fall off, the scaffold. We have to stay erect. We have to keep pushing. So I'm optimistic. I think we're going to find a way to get the voting rights bill done, the George Floyd criminal justice reform bill done, and the Build Back Better done. All of this is very important to the future of our communities in which we serve.
Dr. Chavis also in the news this morning. Patricia Kingori, who is 28 years old, originally from Kenya, has been awarded a full professorship at the University of Oxford, making her the youngest Black woman to receive tenure so far in that institution's history. She is a sociologist who studies the everyday ethical experiences of frontline workers in a global scope. She was appointed at the Wellcome Center for Ethics and Humanities at Oxford in recognition of the quality and global impact of her research on academia and beyond, the university said in a statement. According to reports out of Africa, for 8 years, she has been at Oxford, where she made several achievements. She had acquired competitive funding grants, written outstanding publications, supervised several DPhil candidates, and taught hundreds of students. And prior to that, her journey wasn't really smooth. She had just given birth to her first child when she received a welcome doctoral studentship to fund her PhD with the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. She had to file for maternity leave for a year before relocating to Kenya with her family to do field work. At the time, Kenya was facing civil unrest, and she, who was pregnant with her second child at the time, had to leave the country. She was able to return after 10 months to finalize her data collection with the help of 2 new supervisors. Eventually, she completed her PhD and went on to do postdoctoral research at the University of Oxford. So congratulations. What an accomplishment, Dr. Chavis.
It is an accomplishment. And again, the academic genius of people of African descent in Africa and America, throughout the diaspora, continues to be made evident. Striving for excellence. We have to strive for excellence as a people wherever we are. So we salute our sister, and we know that she would do well at Oxford University.
Absolutely. And Dr. Chavis wanted Black teachers. A high school district in Phoenix boasts a diverse teaching staff, and the key to their success is listening to what teachers of color have to say and listening to their students' needs. We have as a special guest this morning, Sandra Jenkins, the president of the Phoenix High School District's Phoenix Union Black Alliance, Cloves Campbell, the publisher of the Arizona Informant, and of course, Bobby Henry, the publisher of the Westside Gazette. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for being with us. Sandra Jenkins, let's start with you. Ladies first, of course, but I mean, you are on the front lines. Tell us about, there was a nice report, the Hechinger report, did a nice study to show what you guys are doing in the Phoenix Union District, why you've been so successful, especially when it comes to getting and recruiting teachers of color.
So, yes, I'm the new president of the Phoenix Union High School District Black Alliance. And as soon as I found out I had won the election, I pulled together or assembled my team, and we planned a retreat so that we could go and talk about some of the issues that were facing our students and facing our staff, African American staff. So what we came up with was a bunch of committees. We have like 10 committees that we put together to address some of the issues that we have known about and that have been ongoing for a couple of decades. So this is nothing new, but we wanted to make sure that we had all of these issues on the forefront and that we were tackling them, because I only have 2 years in this position. So I wanted to make very good use of my time and make sure that we were doing things that were beneficial to our students and to our staff. So we meet with our superintendent, Dr. Chad Geston, once a month. By us being teachers, we keep our ears to the ground. We are in the trenches every day. So we know exactly what's going on and what is needed and what some of the main issues are. So when we meet with him, we have an agenda and we talk about those issues, and we ask for resources, and we go from there.
Yeah. And Clovis, you're out there, obviously in Phoenix. I'm sure you've seen a lot in the education realm itself as well. What are you seeing, Clovis? And any questions you and Bobby too, jump in, that you may have for Sandra Jenkins that's working, that is helping them to really put a dent in this shortage of Black teachers in particular?
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to Sandra. I'm a product of the Phoenix Union High School District, so I'm familiar with the process and that district itself, even though it was some time ago when I graduated from high school out there. But we're very familiar. I've been working as a legislator. I worked on some student discipline initiatives that discussed and talked about the fact that that we have several issues where we're dealing with African American students and teachers. So it's good to see that Sandra and her team will be addressing this issue of bringing more African American teachers into the classrooms, because as our population continues to grow in Phoenix, the African American population, there is definitely a need to make sure that we have some teachers that are sensitive to the needs of our students.
Yeah. And Bobby, the latest report, showed that 40% of the district educators in Sandra Jenkins' district identify as either Hispanic, African American, Asian, or Native American. How important is that?
That old adage. We if we can see it, we could be it, and that's extremely important. Now, I want to digress just a minute as it pertains to understanding. Vice President Kamala Harris said something in an interview which I totally disagree with. The fact that she said she didn't take what Manchin was doing personal. But in this case, when it comes to education, we have to take it personal. It becomes personal when we have an opportunity to put people, to teach children the proper perspective of what it is to be human. So when we have people of color engaged in the educational process, we are more than likely producing people who could understand in its totality what it is to be educated and not just trained.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sandra Jenkins, in one study I'm reading here from it, it's students rank teachers of color higher than white teachers on multiple measures, including feeling cared for and academically challenged. Um, the care for part is what jumps out at me as well, because for them, for these students, it's not just having someone there that's robotic, right?
Right. So I don't know. I think we are naturally nurturers. Women normally are, and African American women tend to be even more so. So we have to be able to show empathy for our students because we have a lot of students who have issues. They have crappy home lives. They have a lot of things going on, a lot of responsibilities and things put on their shoulders that we did not have as kids. And many of our students do not have the coping skills and the soft skills that we had when we were coming up. Not that they can't develop them, but many of the students just don't have them. They're facing a lot of stress and a lot of other things going on, peripheral things that are going on in their lives.
Yeah, and Dr. Chavis and the panel itself, I'm going to just briefly read this little note about Sandra Jenkins that was found in the report. It says Sandra Jenkins, when she started teaching at Betty Fairfax High School in Phoenix 14 years ago, she had 3 master's degrees and 4 teaching certificates, but it wasn't that wall of degrees that most strongly informed her passion for teaching. It was the support she received growing up as a Black child taught by Black educators in her Mississippi hometown and at her alma mater, a historically Black college. Doesn't that say a whole lot right there, Dr. Chavis?
Oh, absolutely. I think from the cradle to pre-K to elementary school to junior high to high school to college and to postdoc. Listen, we have to be involved at all levels of the education of our young people. And what Sandra and the report is showing is that African American teachers, both female and male, have the ability, and we take the responsibility as teachers. Many of us come from families who are school teachers, my own. And I know that sometimes it wasn't just about the salary that the teachers are paid, it's the commitment to make sure that every child in their classroom learns not only the subject matter. I think what Bobby Henry said was correct. It's about training people how to pass a standardized test. You got to know, make sure you know the subject matter and how the subject matter applies to your life. What happens in the classroom applies to what happens outside of the classroom. And African American, because of our long struggle for freedom, justice, and equality, we have an ability to relate facts, to relate truth to reality in ways that enhances the education process. It's not to put down other teachers of other race. It's just saying that we are a blessed people in our ability to communicate sometimes complex subject matters to young ears and talent who can grasp better. And that's what it's all about. So we living in a multicultural, multiracial, multilingual society, and the school system has to reflect the diversity of the communities in which they serve.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cloves out in Phoenix. We talked about this pre-show. I think Sandra addressed this too. That people tend to believe, well, there are no Black folks in Phoenix. Talk about that misconception there.
Well, as you know, I'm a native Phoenician, born and raised right here in Phoenix, and I appreciate the heritage and the lineage that Sandra has from growing up in a Black environment. I know in Arizona, even though people don't believe it, I went to an all-Black grade school, junior high school. The neighborhood I live in is all African American. So when you talk about the sensitivity that Dr. Chavis raised about how these teachers understand the things that our students need to know, and they care more about our students, is really, really true. I know that in our environment, we have a lot of new people coming into Arizona now that don't quite know the history of what took place here. Now, so I think right now our goal, one, is to make sure we support the Black Alliance. They've been doing some great work over the years. We continue to work with them, but even more so that we make sure that people understand what's going on here in Arizona. And it's not just a handful of people, but we have a full-grown culture here in Phoenix and in Arizona.
Yeah, and Bobby Henry of the Westside Gazette. Bobby, another thing in the report that really jumps out. Sandra mentions in the report how connected she feels with her colleagues in the district's Black Alliance. They support one another and they advocate. They advocate for Black students. Bobby, we don't see that everywhere else, do we?
No, we don't. And case in particular, I can name a few cases here in Broward County. One in particular that jumps out is this student was in a classroom, a special needs classroom, and the teacher referred to him in an instance as N. You are N. And so the sensitivity that's needed to address not only special needs students, but students in general. Typically, they are not there. They are not there. So it is of necessity that we have more teachers of color, Black teachers. Now, the thing as it pertains to male teachers is that sometimes our hands are cuffed. We don't. We there are certain criteria that must be met. If you're Black in America, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have a run-in with the police, and therefore stand a chance of having a record. And this record may keep you from coming into a classroom or into that profession where we really need you. So our hands are cuffed, and then we create instances or things that Black men are known for, and that's the competitiveness. So when you have this competitive bravo about yourself, now they have put in place where everybody is a winner. There is no champion. Second and third place people can be winners. So you are restricting and putting handcuffs on needed people that should be in the system to help or to increase the wherewithal of our people, if you will.
Yeah, and Sandra, equitable student achievement is what we all want, what you guys are fighting for. Other than, well, I guess the main thing is to get more teachers of color. But what else will help accomplish that goal of equitable student achievement?
Well, we want to definitely work to close the academic achievement gap as well as the opportunity gap. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, but my circle of influence does not stop there. I have friends who are Deltas, I have friends who are Omegas. We all have education initiatives. And so when we have things going on in our district or at our particular school, we call upon our circle of friends. The Greek organizations usually come to the rescue. And like I said, we all have education initiatives. So we kind of pool our resources and our efforts to try to help the kids. We don't just say, oh, I'm an AKA and we have this initiative and bam, here it is. Well, the Deltas have one too. Maybe on this side of town, if you can't make it to our events or our workshops on Saturdays, then the Deltas have something going on. The Kappas have something going on. The Omegas have programs. So we try to make sure that we let them know that our community partners are available and ready to work. And all of the work that we do is free. All of the workshops, they're free. And so we don't do this for the pay because the pay is, it's not gratifying, So it's because, that's the kind of family that I came from. I was raised in Mount Value, Mississippi. That's one of the oldest African American towns established long, long time ago. And I think it is in the museum in Washington, D.C. They feature Mount Value in the museum. I also am a graduate of Mississippi Valley State University. And so I've always had African American teachers. I've always been surrounded by and cocooned with African American educators and people in my life. And so I would like to share that nurturing and that experience with my students. And I am different. They always tell me, ma'am, you're different, Miss, why you care so much? And that's just who I am. And it's genuine. And I want to see them succeed. All of my children, I have three, came through the same district that I work in, that I teach in. And one of them is a corporate lawyer. He went to Howard University. One of them is at Xavier in pharmacy school right now. And then my youngest is still trying to find himself. So we all, we're an HBCU family. And, that piece is, is exciting and gratifying for me to make sure that our students are aware of HBCUs and the comfort level that you're going to feel when you're at an HBCU. And that's why we pride ourselves in making sure that we add, in addition to PWIs, we add, the HBCUs on the tour for our students.
So listening to Sandra Jenkins, the president of the Phoenix Union Black Alliance, Cloves, it sounds like that old adage comes into play. It truly does take a village, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We've enjoyed working with Divine Nine throughout the state for several years. I know that my father leaned on his Kappa brothers when he was here and was running in the state legislature. But even more than that is the fact that as people continue to move forward, you talked about the nurturing and all of that. The other issue out here is making sure that we keep our Black students in the classrooms. A lot of our kids have been getting kicked out of school for any reason that white students would never get kicked out of. We've been going and taking our students in, and when they get kicked out for simple things, the white student will go to detention rooms instead. So the main goal, and I appreciate what Sandra's doing because we've been working with the Alliance for years now, is to make sure that I'm also the executive director for the Commission of African American Affairs here at the state of Arizona. And we've been working diligently to ensure that our students stay in the classroom and get the kind of support that the Divine Nine and other organizations around the state offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bobby, I know you were preparing to give us some remarks.
Yeah, I was, as Cloves was alluding, the Broward County school system, because of the two-sided injustices, if you will, created a program that's called Promise. The Promise program addressed issues where Black students were getting expelled and kicked out of school on things, as Clovis said. The white students would go to detention, and the Black kids would come up with a record. So a program was instituted by the NAACP, the Urban League, and some other people to create this Promise program that actually took situations that perhaps would get a kid kicked out of school, but now he's placed in a program. And yes, it was met with some serious objection from those who don't look like us. So now I want to come on full circle back here. If there was a program instituted that would address behavior modification, that spoke directly to a behavior, then I think that would lessen the burden of having minorities, especially Black kids, expelled from school. you would address the behavior and what caused it, as opposed to going to a direct penalization of a situation where a student might have had some issues, at home that precipitated into his behavior at school. We don't do that enough. We don't have the luxury of having guidance counselors and medical staff like we used to on the campuses. So we have to go back and really reevaluate what education is all about. And again, it's not just training, it's the totality of an educational system that would take a student from here to there to become educated and not trained.
Yeah, and before we get closing thoughts from Dr. Chavis, Sandra, I wanted to also allow you to make this point that when we talk about educators of color, teachers of color, and how they benefit children of color, they also benefit white children and other children. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. They get a chance to see us in our element and all of our glory. We are very creative. We're very talented. They get a chance to interact with us and see for themselves, that these stereotypes and the stigmas that are attached are not necessarily true. We're very creative and very bright and very, motivated for the most part. So,
yeah. And Clovis, I'm going to give you the last word out of Arizona. You're there. You're on the ground there in Phoenix. Your last words with Sandra Jenkins, the president of the Phoenix Union Black Alliance.
Well, we're going to keep working together. I think that the main goal is to make sure that our students get the best education possible provided by the state institutions, and to ensure that the things that we hold dear to us, that is our Black history, our Black students being taken care of, we want to make sure that we support every goal that aims to get those things done. So as I continue to work, and I'm looking forward to working more with Sandra as we move into this next session of legislative issues, but also into this new year, that we can ensure that our Black students have the best opportunity to get the best education possible.
Yeah, and congratulations to Cloves Campbell, the Arizona Informant, just celebrated 50 years. What a milestone. Cloves, any thoughts on 50 years?
50 years is a long time. That makes me realize just how old Bobby and I are. But, but it also is a proud moment. When we started our publication 50 years ago, people didn't think that we would be around this long. And for us to be here now is a blessing, and to make sure that the Black press continues to endure despite of all the things that are happening throughout the country and around the world. We're going to continue to tell the message, to tell the story the way it is, and continue to record our Black history every week. We pray.
Well, the Arizona Informant certainly does a great job of that. And Bobby, you're laughing over there. You just celebrated a milestone too this year.
Oh yeah, 50 years. And Clovis and I came into this organization together. We were a lot younger and had a lot more black hair, hair period. But Clovis, from the bottom of my heart, man, with all sincerity, I understand what 50 years in the struggle is like. So I commend you and your family, man, for what you're doing. Lord knows, I know the burden that you carry. When you can't, it's still difficult, but you go on, brother. And I certainly appreciate and pray for you and what you're doing.
So they both have 50-year publications, but who's older?
Bobby's much older than me.
Sandra Jenkins, this is the National Newspaper Publishers Association's for you right here, the Black Press of America. We thank you, Sandra, for joining us this morning, bringing us this great information. It's always good to hear what our Black educators are accomplishing, because we know that you guys need all the assistance that you can get. So we really appreciate you. Keep up the great work out there in Phoenix, and may it spread throughout the country. And I'm sure we will work as the Black Press to continue to spread your message. So we hope to have you on and join us again at another time. The NNPA's Midwinter Training Conference, Bobby Henry will be the host publisher for it. It kicks off January 19th. We'll be at the Diplomat Beach Resort in Hollywood, Florida. We'll be there from the 19th to the 22nd, where the theme is the publishing industry, advancing the Black press of America, reaffirming, engaging, and empowering. All are welcome. You should come check us out. First time in person in about 2 years, right? www.nnpa-events.com. You can register there and get a hotel room. And also, let it be known, we are strictly adhering to COVID protocols. There will be social distancing, wiping up microphones and spacing around meals and everything else. The NNPA will provide gloves for handling food and so forth and so on. We will make sure that you are comfortable and as safe as possible. Join us in Hollywood, Florida. Now, Black fact of the day, a Black newspaper fact, I should say, considered the first successful African-American daily newspaper, the Atlanta Daily World, was founded in 1928 and is still in print today and owned by the publisher of the Chicago Defender. The iconic Black press newspaper was founded by William Alexander Scott II, who obtained advertisements from national companies such as Coca-Cola. In 1944, reporter Harry McAlpin, I should say, became the first Black reporter to cover a presidential press conference. He covered the White House under Presidents Roosevelt and Truman. Let it be known, the Black press is Black history, it's American history, it's world history. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Bobby,
Yeah.
thanks as always. I see we lost Cloves and Doc and Sandra all dropped off.
I see, man. They don't understand that it's what as Greer can say, it's in the green room that the conversation really takes place.
Right.
Oh man. And you know, Stacy, I sometimes I talk fast, but there's more stuff than I'm trying to get out to say, you know, but
no, but listen, you always do a great job for us. We so appreciative of you.
I just you know, and as I said before, Doc does a hell of a job of recap.
Bobby, we are still live.
Oops.